The new World Press Trends report has been released, and there are a few big numbers, a few interesting ones, a few good ones, a few better ones, and a few ugly ones. And I have a lot of questions, so I want to discuss the numbers with you in this video. So, the new World Press Trends report by One IFRA, by the Association of News Publishers, has been released, and let's start with the positive things. First, cautiously optimistic note, so that is a step forward. We're starting to be more optimistic in the industry again, and looking at the numbers in more detail, it's getting even better. So 55% of news executives say that for the next 12 months they expect better business, and it gets even better than this. For the next 3 years, we're having 58% of the respondents saying it will get better. So that is very good. So looking now into some more numbers out of this World Press Trend report, it gets even better for me being an advertising executive, being a CEO of an ad company, because most of the respondents say advertising will be the leading source. So revenue will be on the rise, but it will mainly come from advertising. And that is what I firmly also believe. That is where we have a huge potential, where we can do a lot of things. So, and then we dig deeper into all of that, what's happening. And here are then my big questions. So we see that advertising was declining as well, especially in print. In digital, we had a very slight rise only. But it was declining, so it makes totally sense that we have a lot of potential, that we gain back advertising revenues, because circulation, yes, it dropped a little bit, but stayed mostly flat. And looking then at those numbers, and of course seeing lots of things that advertising or news executive want to do in the future, besides advertising, events, grant funding, and so on and so on. But then we get into a chart that I totally don't understand, and I need someone to explain that to me. So what are the priorities for your company to invest in the next 12 months? So we saw reader revenue stays flat, advertising should be the new leading source, and like in 2022, in 2023, once again 83 instead of 84. A slight positive. Say reader revenue is my top priority. So if ad sales is the most important thing you're doing, why is it on the same level as reader revenue? Which, by the way, is anyway something that I would ask the news industry. How can you be focused if you have 84% focus on reader revenue, 88% focus on R&D, 84% on other revenue streams, 84% on ad sales, 74% on marketing, 76% on newsroom. So you are evenly distributed, focused on everything. So I think we have to be willing to say no to more things, because if we are focused on everything, I'm a firm believer that we can just do everything not perfect or not get to the potential that we would have. And that really is very much in line with what I read in the US. And I found this awesome article here in Editor and Publisher from Guy Tasaka that we are fortunate enough to work with at Smartico. And he had a great article saying, please stop the insanity, time to look into your toolbox beyond another special section of photo contest. And he brought up a very, very nice graph where he showed the US newspaper advertising versus circulation revenues. And what you can see here, circulation in red stays flat, almost similar to what we saw with global trends, but the advertising went down dramatically. So once again, there is a very strong point for our hypothesis that advertising can go back up, because it was back up. It seems to be the fluid, the dynamic part of our business, while circulation seems not something that we can really bring up. And I mean, like, we all know how crazy much we invested over the last years into plus offers, into paywalls, into e-papers, and still we don't get it up, even though we are adding 5 or even 10% on the print subscription prices every year, but the overall revenue for circulation stays flat. And that gets even harder if I look at another number that Guy Tasaka brings here, because this is the same chart, but not from 2005 till now. It is the chart from 1990 till 2005. And what you can see here, how advertising went through the roof. And during those best times of newspapers, advertising revenues through the roof, making lots of money, still circulation revenues stayed constant. So I feel we have to invest much more into advertising revenues, and we have to focus on them, because I always hear successful people say it is not how many times you say yes to something, it's rather how many times you say no to something that you're really focused. And the no's, you have to say no so often that it really hurts you. And if we see these numbers, that advertising was our biggest growth lever in the years 1990 to 2005. And now it is our biggest reason for being in decline. Then the answer should not be to try to get circulation for the very first time in history up. It rather should be getting advertising up. And that would be perfectly in line what we saw before, that the biggest lever, the biggest thing that that news executives should do is advertising, because there we have a chance to change things. But then we should be honest and say we can't focus on all the things in parallel. And that's what I'm really advocating. Let's try to focus much more on advertising. Reader revenue is a great thing. We have to have the reader in mind. The reader is our audience. Without the audience, we can't monetize the advertiser. But we should really start picking up the advertiser money. And that's what we are all about also at Smartiko. So if you want to see a few business cases, how we helped smaller, medium-sized and large news executives and news companies to drive their advertising revenues in 2023, also now in 2024, please reach out. I'm showing you lots of examples. I'm showing you the business cases, total transparency, and you can do whatever you want with them. So, but please reach out, because I really think we as an industry need to put together all our brains and all our minds to make advertising revenues go up again for our industry.